What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sports Degenerate Podcast. We got another waiver wire show for week 7. For the people that are new, I post a separate episode for each position. So whether you're listening on the podcast or watching on YouTube, check out my page. There is a separate episode for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Let's hop into it. I have 5 quarterbacks for you guys. All of these players are 33% rostered or less, so they should be pretty available in your leagues. Number 1 quarterback pickup for week 7 is Andy Dalton. So he's had 18 or more points in 3 of his 4 games this year. Now in week 7, he plays the Commanders, who have allowed over 22 points per game to quarterbacks this season. I've said this before about Andy Dalton. When he plays bad defenses, he performs well. And when he plays good defenses, he does not perform well. This week, he plays a bad defense. I think he has another good game. Number 2 is Trevor Lawrence. He started off the year really slow, but he's had 18 or more points in 3 straight games. The Jags are in London for the second week in a row, and Lawrence has typically performed well when he's overseas. Just last week in London, he had 21 points, and that was against a Bears defense who is a pretty good defense. This week, he plays the Patriots, who have allowed over 20 points per game to quarterbacks this season. Number 3, we have Trevor Lawrence's opponent, Drake May. So he started his first game last week against a tough Texans defense. In the first half, he really struggled, but he put together some decent drives in the second half, and he ended up with 25 fantasy points. Now he plays the Jags, who have allowed over 30 points per game to quarterbacks this season. So this is a great matchup. He probably is going to feel more comfortable in his second start, so I don't mind starting Drake May if you need a quarterback. Number 4 is Matthew Stafford. Stafford is still a great player when he's healthy. He makes clutch throws. The main problem with him in fantasy, though, is just touchdowns. When the Rams get in the red zone, they run it almost every single time, and Kyren Williams scores basically every single time. But Cooper Kupp is on track to play this week, and Stafford is still playing well, like I said. So this week against the Raiders, I think he has the opportunity to throw some touchdowns. I think they're going to try to get Kupp in the end zone. So I don't mind Stafford because the Raiders have allowed over 25 points per game to quarterbacks this season. Last one is Joe Flacco. If he plays, you have to check. The Colts might go back to Anthony Richardson. I don't think they should. I think they should stick with Joe Flacco, but who knows? But if he plays, I've said this multiple times, he always puts up good fantasy numbers if he plays. He has 17 or more points in all 3 of his starts this season. So if he plays, totally fine starting him. I also want to bring up some streaming defenses for you guys. I have 3 options. All of them also 33% rostered or less, so pretty available. Number 1 is the Bengals. They play the Browns, who might be the worst offense in the NFL, and the Browns have allowed the most sacks in the NFL, which is great for fantasy. And the Bengals defense looked pretty good last week against the Giants. Number 2 is the Bills. The Bills aren't a super elite defense, but they have shown to be a pretty good defense. They gave the Jets problems in week 6. Now they play the Titans, who don't have an NFL starting quarterback on their roster. Both of those quarterbacks are not starting level quarterbacks. Number 3 is the Packers. They don't have a good matchup. They play the Texans, who good quarterback, good offense, so not a good matchup. But at this point, we have to consider the Packers as a good defense. They have had at least 1 turnover in all 6 games, and in some games, multiple turnovers. So I think we keep riding the momentum. I still would rather have the Bills and Bengals because they have better matchups, but I don't mind the Packers. So those are 3 streaming defenses for you guys. Like I said, I have a separate waiver wire episode for each position. So go check all of them out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I love all of you.